Hello, my name is Jenna. I am a Canadian who has been living here in Germany since 2014. And today I want to talk about the fact that things have really changed in Germany since I moved here over 10 years ago. And if you're not prepared, you might be in for quite a surprise this year. So let's dive straight into that so that you are fully prepared, what's changing, why it matters, and how exactly you can prepare. Number one, a huge change for anybody living in Germany. Health insurance costs changed. In 2025, our health insurance contributions increased significantly. That means you're likely paying much more in your contributions depending on how much you earn and who your insurance provider is. That means if you earn quite a bit of money, then you're also going to be paying more money. But if you're below the threshold, then that's a good thing. And if you're somewhere close to the threshold, then maybe now is a time where you can look into switching to private insurance if that's what's best for you. We've got tons more videos about that topic over on the channel. You can go check those out. But let's talk about this additional contribution. In Germany, they say Zusatzbeitrag. This has also increased. And in Germany, you pay a certain amount of money for your public health insurance based on how much you earn. And if you are employed, then your employer is going to pay 50% of the 14.6% of your income. That is great, but we also have this Zusatzbeitrag, which is different depending on which health insurance provider you choose to go with. For example, Techniker Krankenkasse has increased its rates, which might seem like a lot, but actually they have one of the lower contribution rates. DRK is 2.8% and BAMA is sitting at 3.29%. Why? Well, of course, the automatic assumption that we all have is inflation. Yes, that is correct. Significant rising healthcare costs, expenses for hospital treatment, medications costing more. The whole world has been impacted by this, including your contribution rates for your health insurance here in Germany. So why does this matter for you? Having health insurance is mandatory in Germany. You might already know that, but that also means that when you're picking your health insurance company, it is important that you do your research and pick the right one for you and one that is affordable for you as well. Which ones are more expensive or less expensive? I would only save about 300 to 500 euros if I switched providers. I am looking into that right now. But that also means that picking the wrong provider could cost you hundreds each year. So how do you prepare for this all? While a lot of these costs are totally out of our control, we still have the ability to compare our prices, to compare health insurance providers. And there's a tool that does exactly that, and I can't wait to share it with you today. This comes from one of our long-term partners, Feather, who is also the sponsor of this video. But you're really gonna wanna know more about this tool, so listen up. So Feather offers this awesome health insurance calculator where you can actually compare your health insurance options based on your income, your year of birth, whether you have children or not, and your occupation. And then here you can also compare the costs between public, private, and expat insurance if you qualify. Of course, just because you see here that private health insurance is significantly cheaper than public health insurance doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best option for you. For example, I am self-employed. I have 2 children who I would be bringing with me to the private health insurance system. These are both additional expenses that you also need to calculate into these factors. And so now I actually looked into it. My cost would be 831 euros, 4 euros cheaper than public health insurance. So for me, okay, maybe it might be worth looking into private for that 4 euros. Probably not. But for you, it might be different. Or maybe you even qualify for expat health insurance, which I'm jealous because this is going to be your cheapest option by far. So please make sure to take advantage of tools like Feather's health insurance calculator to compare your plans, to compare which provider will be best for you. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. I will leave that link down below, along with just a few insurances that I would definitely recommend checking out as well. So change number 2, which is a huge one and one that we've all been talking about. Germany has a new government and things are already changing. As of April 2025, Friedrich Merz of the CDU-CSU has formed a coalition government with the SPD. Now, they are still pending on final approvals, maybe not once we've published this video, but I will give you an update nonetheless. And the coalition government plans to boost economic growth, increase defense spending, enforce stricter migration policies, and modernize Germany. Sounds lovely, right? But what does this mean for immigration? Well, they are going to implement stricter immigration policies. They want more permanent, stricter border controls and immediate deportation of individuals without any valid entry documents. Understandable. However, I do have to say that the world for skilled workers is actually still looking quite positive. We still have some major labor shortages in IT, healthcare, engineering, skilled trades, education, and the hospitality branch, which means if any of these are things that you are interested in, you could have a very good chance of actually moving to Germany with the Skilled Immigration Act that was recently implemented by our former government. So if you have any vocational training or practical experience in one of these fields, this will be a very, very good opportunity for you to look into. So why does this matter for us? Well, political changes always impact things like our visa or our residency permits and our taxes. It's going to affect you no matter what. So how do we prepare and plan for this? Well, I will leave some good links down below that you can check out. I really like the website Make It in Germany, or of course you can join expat groups and just kind of ask what the situation is, how life in Germany is like for us. I have a group in Düsseldorf with over, I think, 15,000 members. I can link that down below if you're anywhere near Düsseldorf as well. But just staying in the loop is really going to help. And I would also just suggest being open and being quite flexible to new opportunities. Like I said, we have some major job shortages and this is going to be your route into Germany. So maybe think about changing your job. It could be fun. We mentioned the Skilled Labor Act here in Germany, and things have actually gotten much easier for those of you with these skills that Germany needs. So before in Germany, you actually more often than not needed a degree for most work visas. But now skilled workers like electricians or nurses or IT professionals, even without a university degree, can also qualify. Meaning that you might actually just need to up your qualifications a teeny tiny bit in order to qualify to come and work and live in Germany. And then I also wanted to mention you can get German citizenship faster now, maybe not as fast as you expected though. So our last government here in Germany actually made some pretty big changes, which offered a fast track program to get your German citizenship in 3 years. The new coalition government has now vetoed that and said, no, no more. This is absolutely not going to work. That 3 years is not enough time for somebody to be able to become a German citizen. I agree. I got my citizenship after 10 years and I feel like it did take me quite a long time to feel like I was a valuable asset to this country. Before that fast track program, I had to wait a minimum of 8 years to get my dual citizenship. Plus there was a number of other things I had to achieve, like taking my Leben in Deutschland test or the citizenships test, having my B2. There is a huge checklist that we've talked about before. I will leave a video of how exactly to go through the process of getting your dual citizenship. But once I had finished all of that, it had been 10 years before I could get my citizenship at all. So now the previous government actually bumped the 8 years down to 5 years, and they have, as far as I'm concerned, still decided to stick with this rule, meaning they're not going to change it back up to 8. So hopefully you can also get your citizenship much faster. And of course, we do want to touch base here on that big new dual citizenship opportunity. This has never been an opportunity before for all of us. So they are going to keep this rule that we're allowed to have dual citizenship. They did look into abolishing it for people outside of the EU, but for now they're keeping it. There was also talk of revoking that dual citizenship that I had just got. That's not happening as far as the news tells us. There were also a lot of Germans that wanted to get back their German citizenship after becoming Americans or wherever in the world they are now, and you still have the opportunity of gaining the citizenship back and becoming a dual citizen of both countries. I think that's all good news. So how can you prepare for this? You should probably start working on checking off everything in your checklist to get dual citizenship before you actually reach that 5-year mark. So start earlier than later. And then lastly, I had to write this one down because it surprised me. It might not make a huge difference for yourself, but there have been big changes in the passport and postal service area, which apparently is going to affect how fast we receive important documents. When in Germany, everything seems to take forever. So in regards to passport services, there are always delays, and we can actually expect even more delays because they say we can also expect significant improvements moving forward. Now, I actually interviewed the immigration offices here in Düsseldorf. You can check that video out too. And I was asking them, why does this whole process take so long? And they had mentioned that they want to turn everything digital now, which is so exciting, but it's just taking forever. They don't have enough staff right now. And the process of moving it all digital requires, for some reason, a lot of paperwork to also be printed out and adding more to their non-digital files. And I watched watched it happen in these offices a couple years ago, and I could not believe the stacks of paper that they have to go through and digitalize. There's got to be a simpler solution. I'm sure there is, but German bureaucracy, it's gonna take time. So passport applications can take right now up to 8 weeks. And apparently this is all due to the increased travel demand post-pandemic. But of course, the bigger change happened because of the naturalization changes and the allow for dual citizenship, meaning everybody right now is applying to be German. Also, by the end of April 2025, applicants are no longer needed to submit paper-based passport photos, meaning that they're going to install these self-service stations in different government offices and digitally capture biometric data, including photos, fingerprints, and signatures right on location. That would be phenomenal. I would love to see this happen. They're also implementing this direct mail delivery as of May, where passports and ID cards can now be delivered via mail. And apparently they're also changing it so that you're gonna get email notifications if you want on when different documents of yours are about to expire. Would also be amazing. So due to all of this, I guess that's what makes it so obvious that the postal system is also slowing down in Germany. Previously, 80% of letters were required to be delivered by the next working day. I had no idea. And now they've kind of abolished that and said, okay, well, 95% of it has to be delivered within 3 working days. So better for the postal companies and their employees, not so good for us. And they are also eliminating overnight air travel too. But they want to do this to reduce their carbon emission. According to DHL, is resulting in an 80% reduction in CO2 emissions on the affected routes. So pretty good. So what does this mean for you? Well, it just means, as per usual in Germany, really expect delays. There should be some huge advancements moving forward, but just make sure that whatever you're applying for, when you're sending documents, things take time here. So be patient and always make sure that you're billing these documents out and sending them as quickly as possible. Also, one other thing I want to mention, this is not new, but the Deutschland Ticket has been game-changing for so many people. It used to be 49 euros, but they have changed that this year to 58 euros a month. But it not only allows you to travel within your city or your town, but all over Germany on the regional and public transit. ICE, the ICE train, not included, but all the regional transit is included, and this price is really unbeatable. I know here in Düsseldorf, the Rheinbahn, they've actually cut all of their smaller ticket options, like their happy hour ticket, 10 pass ticket, and their 4 pass tickets. They've cut it all out in hopes that everybody just buys this 58 euro Deutschland ticket. For me, it doesn't make sense. I don't travel all that often, and when I am, I'm just taking my bike, or we're traveling far and taking the car. I was sad to see all these smaller tickets be abolished, but it is what it is. And there you have it. If you are moving to Germany this year, these are things you're gonna need to know and you're gonna need to prepare for. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I am here. Vielen, vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.